Hello, my name is John William. Welcome to Podcast X. Joining me today is my lovely co host, Alex, and we are short on our members today because a very special event happened a day ago. Um, so I assume all of our members are out enjoying their newfound freedom. Not to say that we aren't, but I think they're enjoying their newfound freedom. I'm not entirely sure. But they'll be back soon enough. Alex, would you care to say some introductory words?
Oh, well, you said that something special happened a few days ago. I was thinking the sun, but no, you meant the. Well, see, I think that's kind of funny because really the only thing that changed is that six rule of six rule. But how even one small change like that is already a massive given amount of freedom. So
It i-
it's
it
it's very
is
interesting.
it is incredible. The That one rule can change everything really. Um, but I mean, there's a travel one. No, well, not really. Um, 6 people is pretty massive though, especially for the outside. 6 people is really massive. I mean, our original friendship group is 5 people.
Hmm.
So if you can imagine other friends or other families out there, they probably only need six, which is which is incredible. Yes, but today I thought we'd just go a bit lighter and just talk about general events, events that in the past, things that we've been doing recently, um, you know, fun things to pass the time of lockdown or just anything in general, really, anything. Um, yeah, very impromptu.
Well,
But
I was gonna say, I mean, today what I was spending my entire day on was obsessing about China.
what
I was watching lots and lots of videos on China today. I don't know why. I think I was watching to do with the Quad. Don't know if you've heard about that, John.
the
The
quad?
Quad.
The,
Yeah, some sort of quasi alliance between the US, Australia, Japan, and another Asian country somewhere. About
oh, oh,
how
are
have
you
you
talking
seen
about
that?
the new trade deal?
No, I know what you're talking about, but not that. Because these guys are, I, th- I think they are the same people as well. You're right, but I think this specific event I'm talking about was when all was it the prime ministers and presidents all had a meeting recently to discuss sort of keeping China in check because I didn't realize this was a thing, but there's proper fears about China invading Taiwan within the next 6 years was the often cited amount of years that they're
Oh,
expecting China to invade Taiwan.
are we talking about the quadrilateral security dialogue?
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't mean to sound as if I know it. I just searched it up on Google.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured, yeah.
Australia, India, Japan, and the United States. On Chinese issues. The most recent addition to the Wikipedia page is
Is that right?
a China United States trade war and fears of a second Cold War, as well as
Hmm.
the invasion of Taiwan. Oh, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, saying within 6 years.
What can you
Six
tell us
years.
about that?
I don't know. It just shocked me. I didn't realize that because they say that China's obviously preparing for a war, and I was just thinking, oh, no, a minute, that's going to be quite disastrous if they do decide to invade Taiwan. Because I didn't really 6 years. Though. That's the number that they've given. I don't know.
You know the story about Taiwan, right?
Yeah. How Well, what story are you thinking about?
Taiwan is the original China.
Oh yeah. Until
Even
the UN
even
cowardly
on
dropped them.
even on Wiki, Taiwan is still officially recognized as the Republic of China, and China, the one that we know is the People's Republic of China.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
it is very interesting. It was one of the things I like to learn about in geography. That's interesting. Four countries or four superpowers keeping China in check. I don't think anyone can keep China in check, um, because
Yeah.
China and Russian relations are very strong, right?
Kind of. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I guess.
Because if they are, the key to the world is China and Russia being good friends. If they're not good friends, then the world is in balance, in my opinion. Um,
Well,
if
I think they're like sort of rivals who have understood that it's best for them to be sticking together in this
yes, yeah,
world.
okay, but that to me is still sort of friendship.
Okay, yeah.
But in my fantasy mind, if Russia and China ever decided to go to war with the rest of the world, we would not come out of that one living. I don't care what the Israeli special forces or the British SAS or whatever manner of special forces you can name have up their sleeve. There is no chance we are beating two superpowers in one war.
Well,
No
I
chance.
actually, my instinct was to actually say no, you're completely wrong. But then I actually realized just a few days within a week ago, there was a commission, wasn't it, or a report that said that the UK armed forces doesn't actually have the capacity to send its armed forces to respond to a significant conflict anywhere around the world because our army is too small now.
Is
So
it?
yeah,
Oh, I did not hear
so
about that, but wow, I did
it's
not hear
actually yeah,
about
you
that.
might be right.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
what do you value more? Do you because collect as a I watched a few YouTube videos. This is the scope of my knowledge on the British Army. Quite a few of the special forces around the world look up to the SAS. Um, and they look up to the British Army in general as one of the most well-trained armies in the world. So, what do you value more, numbers or well-trained soldiers? I mean, in the end, numbers do play a big part, but I don't know. What do you think? If the UK doesn't have the numbers, but surely they still have the well-trained men and women.
I mean, the reason for that, of course, is because the SAS was the first special forces established.
Hmm.
But see. I mean, we may have arguably one of the best soldiers in the world or armies in the world, but if we can't project that sort of level of quotations greatness or power, and we need numbers to project that sort of power across the world, because we need, of course, to have an appropriate amount of soldiers out in that region where we're trying to express that power, but also have a
Hmm.
significant presence as well in our homeland, just in case something happens. So I think it is still important to have that that number, because if we're just if we just have a great army but not enough numbers, then all we are doing is sort of just training everyone else, because rather than projecting that power, if that makes sense.
Okay, fair enough. Now, on the subject of military, um, North Korea, they've had a few exchanges recently. I don't know if you've heard about this. Have you heard about North
No,
Korea?
nothing on North Korea recently.
North Korea have what I mean recently. I think it's either 1 week or 2 weeks ago. They fired a ballistics missile. I don't know if it's a ballistics missile. Let's
Hmm.
just call it a missile. They fired a missile into the Sea of Japan, and
Okay.
the U.S. Either Biden said it or the representatives of the White House said it. I'm not entirely sure. They said if North Korea continues to do any more stupid things like this, um, they shouldn't be surprised if the US responds in such a way. And North Korea said, I don't think the president understands his words. I don't think he should be speaking like this.
Is that right?
I've ad libbed quite a few of that, but it was a verbal exchange from representatives of each place, each country. Um, you know, I never quite understand why North Korea consistently flexes their muscle. I never quite understand
I
why.
mean, I don't think it's flexing. I think they're testing how if the US is actually going to do anything about it, because the US hasn't really done anything really kind of to North Korea. That's my assessment of it anyway. Because if North Korea is still being able to do this and not get and sort of kind of get away with it with just a few words being spoken by whoever said those words against North Korea, then I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's sort of a delicate thing to do there, because if the US does something, then China, remember, China is the big brother of North Korea. I mean, I don't
I
know,
read
that
I
guy,
read
man,
a
Kim Jong.
post that said, say what you want about President Donald Trump, but he's the first dictator. No, supreme leader. That's it. Conversations with um, North Korea. Among other things, they also said that President Trump is possibly one of the. What do you think? Something that we should, because I mean, you know, Obama went to Cuba.
I mean, I was watching stuff on that. I was watching some clip earlier as well that of someone that did say, um, Donald Trump. I mean, it's important to say it's important to consider as well huge with North Korea. But the thing is, though, I'm not well versed enough to actually understand if it was impactful in any meaningful way. Their sort of exchanges a few years ago, as I remember. So I don't know if that went anywhere. But regardless, it's not going. See, that's the thing, though. One president can make progress with another government,
Mm.
but you got to remember in democracies, those governments will change every 4 years. So one president's sort of success or progress will be it's all gone when when the
Well,
new president comes in, kind of.
either continued or completely gone the other way or destroyed, whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. There was a conspiracy theorist that he said he worked with for the government, and he said someone asked him, why isn't it that the US presidents aren't told if there is any aliens to deal with, if there are any, for example, or why aren't they told the deepest, darkest secrets that the US has, such as like the purpose of Area 51 and so on. And the conspiracy theorist slash government ex-government worker said, well, 4 years is a relatively short time in mankind development. So if we tell them stuff about, say, for example, if there are aliens, in 4 years they may not be president, and our secrets are now vulnerable because there's someone else who knows it. The less people who know it, the better. Going to your point about how it's like administrations can make progress or they can um, derail progress. I think that's also as well with government secrets. Um, how much should an administration know before it's too much? And then when they're out of power, will they ever use it to get back into power, or who knows, even sell government secrets to the rest of the world? It's all a very, it's sort of very macabre and interesting subject to look into. But yeah,
I mean,
I stop at aliens.
I don't know. I mean, I think you can, for the most part, trust your former leaders, except for Donald Trump, obviously, that they won't actually sell any of these secrets or keep it to themselves, or that they will keep it to themselves.
You know,
But go
sorry,
ahead.
Donald Trump is ranked highly in the presidential tier list by many well, obviously many Republicans will say so, but also many Democrats would rate Donald Trump quite highly. In retrospect, obviously during the time they were like, no, fuck Donald Trump, but in retrospect, they named him really high on his list.
I don't know about that because I mean I think the insurrection will be the one that marks his presidency. I think
Yeah,
in history.
that's what a lot of people said when they were asked to rate why didn't they rate him higher. A lot of them rated him in like B tier because he barely went to war. And now I'm just ad-libbing here. I could be completely wrong. He barely went to war. He barely organized any drone strikes. His policies were pro-American, which consequently improved the economy. The economy under Donald Trump was still really well. It was continued levels of what um, Barack Obama basically did. The only issues that they had with Donald Trump was that he wasn't very media friendly. And when they mean media friendly, he could say a lot of things that could be taken could be spinned racially offensive. And then his last act as president to do that stupid thing with storming the Capitol. um, but yeah, no. I, don't- it's going to be really interesting to see how in 10, 20, 15 years, we'll see what type of president Donald Trump is, and like we'll be able to like compare him and see how he is, because
I,
loads of people say Barack Obama was a bad president simply because he started so many wars and bombed the hell out of the Middle East.
I don't know. I mean, I think we're gonna have to. I don't think we have to wait that long to see how Donald Trump will be seen. I think we only need to wait until 2024 when he reruns for president under his new party
What's
to
his new
see.
part? He's not gonna get it. He's not gonna win. And the
No, he's
U.S.
not.
is a two-party country. There's never been a third party to ever win, ever. Same goes for the UK, really. I don't think I've ever seen a third party win. Um,
2010.
I mean,
But yeah,
but
no,
that's a coalition.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
it's it's truly incredible. And you know, how would you rate the U.S. situation right now with President Biden?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Ever since Biden came into power, the only way I saw the US is more with stability. So I haven't really paid attention to Biden. The only thing that I've really paid attention to recently that's happening in the US is the the mass. I don't know if I can call it a massacre. You know, the the movement around Asian lives matter sort of thing that's taking place. So that's what I've been paying attention to more, and I suppose that's yeah, I think that's what I've been paying attention to most in recently with the US. So I don't know anything about Biden. I'm not going to lie to you, but I do know that, of course, the Democrats are still kind of criticizing him as well. Because let's not forget, Biden wasn't the number one choice for Well, for a lot of Democrats, he wasn't the number one choice. It would have been Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, yeah,
Because Biden is still quite right wing, even to especially well British standards even as well.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I've heard that as well. Um,
yeah, because Democrats would be conservatives, and,
the
and Republicans would be UKIP, I guess. So,
the the stuff I've seen does not paint Biden in a very colorful picture. It paints Biden as a warmonger and continues several policies that Obama had. But this is just things I've seen in social media. I can't really fully have an opinion because I don't live there, and I
yeah,
haven't
that's what I mean.
personally kept up to date with it as well. I've just seen loads of things on social media. Um, I follow I follow questionable figures, but I only follow them because I'd like to know what their opinion is. I follow both walks of life.
Oh, that's
Um,
important.
it's it's
100%.
very it's very important, and I think surrounding yourself around one opinion is very dangerous, because if you surround yourself with one opinion, you're essentially yes manning yourself in every single thing. It's important to have discourse, and I follow some questionable figures. Some people would say they're questionable. I'm not going to name them because should this ever get popular, I don't want to have any issue. But um, I follow some questionable people and some questionable organizations. I don't follow any racist organizations, by the way. That's just I don't, even if what I said earlier, I said, oh, I like to follow both discords. I don't follow an offensive discord. I follow discords that are at least rooted in some form of formal education. And one thing I've seen about the US constantly being said about one particular outlet is that the US is moving towards a very socialist country. Um, and the ultimate goal of socialism is sort of communism, blah, 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 and so on. This page mocks leftists at every turn. But I guess we'll have to know. I guess we'll have to see what it's like within the next 4 years. A lot can change. We never thought Trump would ever become president, and then he did. So let's see what happens in the next 4 years. Um, God, we went through 2 years of hell. I hope we have like a whole decade of peace and prosperity. But we'll see. We'll see.
Cheese of hell? What are you referring to?
I mean, we had the 1 year. I suppose 1 year of hell. COVID.
Oh,
That
okay,
that
right.
was that was 1 year of hell in itself. Um, the first few months of COVID were sort of a joke to me because I didn't really understand what was going on, and then the following months I took seriously, and I've never stopped taking them seriously. But you know, hopefully we'll have a much peaceful decade to come.
No, we're not gonna have a peaceful decade. 2020 it's all the way to 2030 is gonna be a defining decade too for technology and geopolitics.
Yeah, I hope
Uh,
I hope they have a cure for blind people. That's all I'm
yeah.
hoping for. Because I'm partially blind. I'm gonna go blind. I'm gonna go fully blind at some point. I don't want to go blind, so I hope they make a cure for blindness, either by transplanting new eyes or I don't know. But
I think
here's
they can
hoping.
do that, but no, you're right. I mean, hopefully they can, because technology is medical
Improving.
technology. Yeah, because when anyway, but I don't know if you wanted to talk about that now.
We can if we want. We can. It's a ramble towards the end of the day. I think we transitioned from China to political, and now we're going to medical. Why not, man? Let's do it. It's
No,
like our
I was
first. It's like our first podcast. You remember our first podcast?
yeah,
We
exactly.
talked about whatever we wanted, but it was so structured. But this one, we're
Yeah,
sort of talking about whatever we want, but like it's less structured. Um, I'm a fan of
I,
both.
both structures, both ways of doing things. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have their things. But no, I was just going to ask you: is there a certain age where you need something to happen, or
No, I'm not entirely sure. To be honest, the less time I spend focusing on my condition, the better. I
okay?
mean, I've searched up what partially blind means on Google and on the NHS. I will ultimately go blind at some point, but hopefully that's not for a very long time. Um, yeah,
Okay,
that's yeah, yeah. Hopefully that's not for a very long time.
no, 100%, 100%. Um, okay. There was another thing, something about Russia as well. Sorry, if we're just going back to
No,
because
go
we talk
ahead.
about because we talk about China, we might as well talk about the other adversary, Russia,
Yeah.
um, and their vaccine and how
Oh yes, the
Slovakia,
yes, yes.
yeah, sorry, how Slovakia and a couple of
For exposition for the listeners who don't know, what situation are you talking about?
how there's a few European countries that are unilaterally deciding to order some vaccines from Russia, whereas obviously the European Union said they'll do it through the EU rather than for individual countries just for the sake of equity.
Mm.
But obviously countries are feeling a bit nervous and they want to do things their own way so that they can be prioritized. Um, but that, but obviously nobody wants. But obviously the EU doesn't want the Russian vaccine because it's Russia, isn't it? And they don't really trust the process that's going on there. But apparently that's caused a sort of crisis in Slovakia because
Yeah, yeah. I've
oh, you have
the
heard about that as well.
yeah, the health minister resigned over the
All the ministers resigned. Yeah,
Oh, all I see is health minister. Wait. Oh yeah, the government resigned over the Russian vaccine deal. That's incredible. Um,
exactly.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a bit it's a bit of a. We talked about it a few episodes back about the value of Western advice and Western views. It's a bit like rich coming from the West to criticize Russian um, developments in technology, don't you think? I don't know. I mean, it's not to say the Russians aren't as smart as us, but come on, man. Like Russia
I,
are a legit superpower, and they wouldn't do anything like release stupid things. I'm not saying the West would do either, but you know, Russia are smart. um, and I don't know what's the fears over their vaccine. Do you know?
Well, I think there's two sources. But before I do say that, I mean, I just don't trust Russia myself, to be honest with you. But
Where does your distrust of Russia come from?
um, well, I'll mention the two sources first of what
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
distrust is. The two main sources of distrust is, I think, concerns over the standards of vaccine creation or whatever it is, or vaccine
Ah,
testing in Russia compared to the EU ones, much less lower standards.
okay.
And I believe the second concern was how Russia is so much more readily willing to send out their vaccines to the rest of the world, even though their vaccine rollout in their own country is quite poor. So that's kind of a bit, why aren't you
Uh,
focusing on your own country and you're focusing on everyone else? So it's obviously politically motivated, or maybe they want to test the vaccine out everywhere else before they actually give it to their own population. I don't know.
okay. All right.
But yeah, so
So,
it's sort of that sort of reasons why I don't trust
so
them as well.
do you have a general distrust of Russia, or do you just distrust Russia on the vaccines?
Oh, absolutely. I have a general distrust over Russia. I mean, those guys, what, in the past decade, haven't they? They've had Novichok in this country for the past decade twice, two occasions, and and obviously Navalny recently, he's highlighted a lot of stuff over Putin. I don't know. I don't trust that government.
Oh, that guy. What's his name? Navalny? You said?
Navalny,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't read much news. I'll be real with you, but I follow quite a few TikTokers. TikTok is probably the new media that I follow now, and there's this Russian TikToker who tried to be as neutral as possible. Um, I could tell because he wasn't supporting Trump, Trump. He wasn't supporting Putin, nor was he criticizing Putin. But he basically explained that Vivaldi issue. That Vivaldi, no, sorry, that's not Vivaldi. What's his name? Sorry, I keep getting
Navalny.
Navalny.
Yeah,
Um, Navalny has some sensitive and delicate information that could potentially pose a threat to uh, Putin and his administration. Correct? Is that some? Is
hmm
it something like that?
well, he's got a lot of information. Yeah,
Yeah, and Putin wants him dead,
pretty much.
which is incredible. That's incredible. Um, Putin, is it official that Putin wants him dead, or what?
I
Um,
think it's pretty much accepted that he did. Yeah, because he 8 Russian agents were the one that decided that were poisoning him
in Germany, correct?
in Russia. Then the Germans sort of gave him kind of asylum.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's amazing. That like,
No, you know what's even more amazing actually, because so shortly after he was poisoned and recovered in Germany, he called it's on video somewhere. It's on one of his videos that he released on YouTube. He called one of the agents that poisoned him, pretending to be a senior member of the KGB, asking him, "So how did it go? You know, what went wrong? What was the process?" And this KGB agent that was poisoning him, or that poisoned him, was literally confessing everything, thinking that he was speaking to a senior KGB member, when in reality he was speaking to Navalny, who was recording everything. So this KGB agent basically confirmed that obviously the Russian state was the one that ordered this poisoning of him. It's completely funny. Anyone, you guys should check it out on his YouTube channel.
I'm just on his YouTube channel just now. Actually, I'm just gonna sort by his most popular videos. Um,
Oh, no,
oh,
oh, no.
his most popular video is called "Putin's Palace: A History of the
Yeah.
World's
Have,
Largest Bribe."
have you not watched
Um,
that yet?
no, I haven't. If I'm being really
Oh, I'd
honest
watch
with you, I
that.
haven't. I'm probably going to because I just have nothing to watch. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now. And Game of Thrones is so beautiful, yeah. But I cannot. In the back of I can enjoy Game of Thrones, but in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, "Fucking hell, man! How did they manage to mess this up?" Anyway, before we sidetrack, um, yeah, Russia. world politics in general is just super interesting. That you can leave for a few weeks, months, and you can come back to world politics, and you'll see that there's loads of new um, issues. It's issues. It's like a bloody TV show. Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you even say that? I mean, you'd think that everybody would excuse me. You think that everybody would be sort of calmed down, that everybody's focusing on a pandemic, but no, everything's still whirling on as usual.
yeah,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to this guy. Hopefully he doesn't die. Probably
yeah.
will, but
Probably will, and as history shows, he'll die suicide or an accident or oh god. There's always some form of covering it up. But we will never believe it. Um, but it will always be interesting to teach in history class. That's for sure. Um, in an alternate universe, I was probably a history teacher. Um, gotta love history, right? You love history, right?
no, absolutely. I think yeah, it's important to learn if you want to understand the present.
I've been watching. So I have a subscription to History Netflix. I'm not sure if you know about it, but it's what I basically say is it's Netflix, but just for history programs and history documentaries and so on. Things that you can't find on YouTube that are either too gruesome or too graphic. And one of the things that I'm enjoying watching is called the butterfly effect. You ever heard of a butterfly effect at all, Alex?
Yeah, yeah, it's that.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. The amount of things that they talk about, um, like if had things gone differently, what would the world look like right now? One of my favorite episodes on the documentary was humanity. The biggest difference between us and animals is communication, right? We
Mm.
can articulate things. We can articulate in literal things. We can also articulate things that don't even exist, fiction, and so on, right? Um, then what's the next best thing about humanity? It's the speed of communication, right? Um, it will take animals slightly longer for them to like warn each other of danger, but it won't take us. Uh, it will take us extremely quicker than animals, right? And then the butterfly effect episode theorizes that the speed of communication improved um, bit by bit. Um, until like there were several turning points. There was the Morse code, that was one of them. But then the Morse code was like quite, you could communicate over larger distances, but the speed wasn't necessarily quicker. What was the next biggest thing? The telephone. The telephone was the next biggest thing, and that's a
Okay.
that's a second turning point. And had the telephone not been invented, would we still be using Morse code or using letters or post? Probably. We never know. Now, what's the next biggest thing after the telephone? The internet was the next biggest thing, and the speed of communication has improved so much that we are now within a message, a mess, a ping's distance of communicating with each other. And the biggest revelation that the butterfly effect episode had was Tim Berners-Lee had the opportunity to monetize his invention of the internet. I.e., it's hard to fathom now, but he basically could have like patented the internet and made an infinite amount of money off the internet. Whoever uses the internet would have to pay some homage to Tim Berners-Lee. Could you imagine that? Like inventing something and you get an infinite source of revenue on it for the rest
I
of your
mean,
life. But he chose
I
to
don't
he
know.
chose
I
to
think
non-privatize it.
yeah, no, I think that would have been a negative thing. I think that would have slowed down progress. To be honest, I don't think anybody would have used it that much then if there was a paywall behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's good that he didn't do that then.
yeah. It's very good. But that's just one sort of thing that I've recently been enjoying in the second lockdown. I've been enjoying Curiosity Stream, and I've just been enjoying a lot of history, a lot of history. I've been enjoying the War of Succession. The French War of Succession and the British War of Succession. It's a lot of interesting stuff in history. Honestly, if it actually paid better than geography, I probably would have done it. But here I am. Yeah,
Yeah,
just trying to find ways to keep busy.
100%. It really bothered me when back in the day people would say, "What's the point of learning history?" It's just that really bothered me. Like, how can you tell me
It
that
it
there's
really
no?
it really bothers me as well. What do you say to people now? When someone says, "Why should we learn history?" What would you say to them now?
Well, I just say what I sort of said earlier, which was you can't understand what's going on in the world right now if you don't understand the history in the same way. You can't understand. Yeah, you just can't understand anything without knowing what happened before, why that happened, and all that sort of stuff. So, why different countries don't like each other, why countries like each other, why certain ethnicities don't like each other, and why certain ethnicities don't care about each other, sort of thing. It's all because of history of what happened in the past.
Do you know
If
what
you
I
want
will say to
to
the line now?
go on.
What From now on, if someone says to me, "What's the point of learning history?" One of the replies I will say is, "To know history is to anticipate the future." Now, obviously, future plays out differently, but you know, the past has shown that sometimes the past can repeat itself in the future. But um, history is super interesting, and as you said, some of the things that happen in real life are just taught in history. Like why do these certain countries hate each other? Why is Australia known as a country founded by criminals, and so on? It's history suffers from the same thing that geography suffers from, and that it's not trendy and it's not appealing as geography. Or I don't know what is the hardcore subject nowadays. Languages. I don't know.
IT? I don't know.
IT maybe IT. I could honestly couldn't tell you. I think the most boring subject in my eyes though is English. Um, English
Uh,
literature to be more specific. Um, but
I think it's
again,
creative.
you think English literature is creative?
No, I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed English.
Yeah, that's the one
What
that really made me fall in love with the English language.
what did you enjoy? What did you enjoy about English?
Just well, poetry specifically. That's what got me into writing my poetry and then learning more different words and creating all
Did you
sorts of. Hmm?
for GCSE? Did you have that blue book of poetry?
Yes, I still have it.
You
I
still have
actually
it.
still have it. I forgot what it's called though. Anthology, whatever it was.
Anthology of poems or something like this, and
Yeah,
we had
something
to
like that.
memorize all poems and be able to talk about them. See, that's the thing that I didn't like about the teaching in English, that you sort of had to memorize and learn how to analyze and so on. But no, memorize and learn the answers. But in reality, they should have taught us how to properly analyze and look for. I don't know what it is. Literal devices. I don't fucking know. It was a long time ago. It was a very long time
Yeah,
ago. I miss education though. I miss it. They say that your high school years were probably the golden years of your life. What do you think about that?
I think they were certainly my most shielded, and in that sense, I didn't really have any real problems. So
Hmm.
maybe I guess that's what people mean by that. Um, was it? It was during maybe A levels that my identity sort of maybe started to form,
Did you do
and
politic A
then
levels?
no, I never did do politics.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was all through geography. My political exposures.
Okay, fair enough. Also, I just wanted to ask. I can't remember now. I know we did a topic on university, but did you go straight to university or did you take a gap year?
Straight to university.
Do you regret that at all?
No. I think if I didn't go to university, might have
I
been
mean,
a risk I didn't go at all.
I mean, not going. I mean, just going straight away. Do you regret going straight away?
I don't know. I think
Fair enough.
think it's where I am now. So that's
Because
the thing with regret.
I mean, like, I don't regret going to. I don't regret taking a gap year, but I always do wonder what if I stayed in Leeds, or what if I took a proper gap year. Like I just again TikTok is gonna like appear frequently in our conversations, but there are a few TikTokers who advise that going on a gap year is a good thing, and they argue, and I would agree on this argument, that you've been in education for almost 11 years plus. You should have a break before going back to university. The opposite argument of that is you've been in education for 11 years. What's 3 more years? What's 4 more years? Get it over and done with, and then you'll be able to experience life. But I don't know. I had it both ways. I went to university and I took I took a gap year as well. I lean more on the gap year because a gap year allowed me to reset my mind and want to learn, as opposed to an obligation to learn. But that's just me, of course. At the end of the day,
No, I see your point. I mean, if I had the how to change or alter the education system, what I would do is have everybody have a gap year in between A level and university. But during that gap year, everybody will have to be put in a work placement where they are getting paid. That's going to be sort of may or may not be related to maybe what they want to do, but sort of forced work experience, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Just so that they can have that work experience for that entire year getting paid as well, maybe sort of thing. Because obviously the risk is that staying in education, you're gonna have any life experience, which I think is
Yeah,
so true for a lot of people.
yeah. That's incredible. Not a lot of like, you lived in halls, so you would know this more than I would. I mean, I lived in halls as well, but some of these students do not have any life experience whatsoever outside of their family home. Um,
Yeah.
and they live like slobs. Did you ever have that issue where your flatmates lived like slobs?
No, I was
You,
blessed.
you was blessed. My
I was
my
blessed.
my first year in university halls in Leeds, Jesus Christ, all of them apart from one were pretentious, privileged individuals who didn't wash their shit. I think I think this is a big one. They didn't wash their own plates. They used other people's cutleries and other people's crockery and stuff. My lord, some of these people didn't
Yeah.
have the life experience to deal with that, and it showed. It really showed. I remember going back to home during reading week and receiving an email saying that, if you don't pay X amount for your slobbery, you're gonna no. If you don't clean your slobbery, you're gonna get fined £100. I remember replying to that email and saying, I'm not there for 2 weeks, so I'm not involved. Um, they got
Yeah.
their shit together, but from what I remember, still a lot of slobbery. But yeah, it's just, life experience is important, and I see a lot of young people complaining now, young as well as people our age, complaining that they never learned about taxes, they never learned about council tax, or um, I don't know, what's the next biggest one that people often complain about? Laws. They never learned about
Yeah.
laws.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, I used to take the I used to be taken in by this idea that schools, because there's sort of this debate: should the primary purpose of schools be to educate or to prepare people for work? And
That's a good one.
I used to think maybe to lean more on the work part, but actually, I now lean on the idea that it's the individual's responsibility to actually learn about the world, and it's school's responsibility to educate, because those things that they educate us on, even if we don't end up doing anything to do with that, maybe sort of, with maths and algebra, but actually knowing all that sort of stuff does actually play a lot into our understanding of the world and certain things as well.
Mm.
Um, so I think at the end of the day, it's up to the individual to actually get that life experience, and maybe their parents to push them into
It's
getting that
quite
life experience.
it's quite interesting you say that, but do you feel that children have a brain like that to do it, to do responsibilities like that? Because if I'm being really honest with you, my kid's sister she's probably really smart, but extremely lazy. She will. I guarantee she will never know anything about taxes if I don't tell her. Um, just using my sister as an example, she will not readily take another responsibility. She feels like school should teach you everything to be prepared in life. I don't think that's right because schools will never do that. But what was my point of this? The individual's responsibility. Yes. Do you feel like children really have the attention span to self teach themselves? You know,
I mean,
life stuff.
I was more hoping that maybe it'll be a family's responsibility to do that, but then actually not everybody has a family, I guess, and that wouldn't work. So
Hmm.
I guess maybe that's when PSHE and citizenship comes in as subjects, but
PSHC lessons were so useless that I feel like they should be reformed to that should be in your PSHC lessons, basically. Laws and taxes and so on. The thing is,
hmm.
we kind of learn about taxes in maths. I mean, we learn the maths behind taxes. I mean, what else is there to learn about it other than why you pay specific taxes? You can look that up yourself. Um, some of the more important things are like legal obligations to the country you belong to. There are some legal obligate, like for example, you can be fined if you do not vote. Supposedly, I don't know if you can tell to otherwise, but you can be
In
fined if you do.
Scandinavia,
No, in the UK,
no,
you can't. Oh, okay,
no, it's no obligation.
I keep getting bloody threatening letters saying you need to vote for the Kingston Town Council. You need to fuck off, man. I don't give a shit.
No, no, that's just them trying to make you or convince you.
The
But I mean, the
census
census, yeah,
is you know, you have an obligation to that. I quite enjoyed doing the census.
so
Um,
did I.
considering you only do it every 10 years.
Yeah.
I've only been part of two census censi. I'm not entirely sure. I've only been part of two. That's because I wasn't here in the 2000 in year 2000. I was here in year 2010, and I was here in year 2021. I quite enjoyed doing my census. I did it online. Um, and I did my wife's one as well. It's quite fun. Um, I'm not entirely
I'm,
sure why certain questions were needed, but I don't really need to question the government when the government, I assume, are doing everything for our best interests.
yeah, I mean that is at the end of the day, it's important for it to be accurate because knowing what kind of people are in what areas determines how much money that gets for what services, etc.
Hmm.
Which is what bothers me when people 'cause I saw on TikToks as well about how it's a conspiracy
Oh,
to all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
And as a geographer, I was really bothered by that. I mean, we need that to determine the policies in that area, not because we want to know
Um,
information about individuals.
yeah. There are always going to be conspiracy theories out there. It's just, I'm on Reddit a lot of the times, and some of the conspiracy theories are so outlandish. Um, like they could literally be creative writers. I have no clue how they get away with some of these
Oh
things.
yeah,
I follow a guy, a guy. I'm not even sure if they're male or female. I follow a person on TikTok. Originally, I followed out of pure curiosity, and now I just follow them for no reason. They claimed to be a time traveler. Can you believe this? And
is that
they
right?
claimed to be from the year 2978, and their company was called Astra, I think, or something like this.
Is it
And
AstraZeneca
and they predicted so many different events. Quite a few of them were fake, and quite a few of them were easily predictable. But one of them that they lost a lot of credibility, aka they lost a lot of followers as well, was who is going to be the winner of the U.S. presidential election, and they predicted Donald Trump, which any sane betting man would have done. I predicted Donald Trump to win,
Mm.
simply because if Bernie got through, no one would vote for Bernie. Sorry, no. The other half of the country would not be convinced to join Bernie because he's very socialist. If Biden got in, there's no chance. Whatever. I always thought that the time traveler was wrong. Biden won, and he had the audacity to say if I said Biden would win, it wouldn't have happened. This guy was using Marvel Avengers time travel theory, and it was there that he lost a lot of his credibility. And then he said, "No, I'm going to get all my credibility back. I'm going to predict another big event." And to be fair, it is quite a big event, but the thing is, it's not a very, like, what's the word? It's really obvious. Like, the event was really obvious. He predicted the release, the development, and the trial release of the first Oxford AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. That wasn't hard to predict. Let's be real. That
Yeah.
was not hard to predict. So people didn't really buy into the fact that he's a time traveler anymore. And then this is where he lost all of his credibility. He lost all of his credibility when he said, in the year 2028, there will be a zombie pandemic outbreak.
Yeah, I don't know
And
about
y-
that.
and do you know what he called the zombie strain?
Go on.
Zovid 28.
Uh,
You're
That's
you're a
very.
fucking moron. You're a fucking First of all,
I wonder where he got that from.
I wonder where he got that from. And then he says multiple times that COVID will not go away until the year. No, COVID will not go away until 20 years after its first reported case. That's not exactly hard to believe because viruses don't disappear like poof. They
Yeah,
linger.
exactly.
They linger around, but they're very well contained and well quarantined and so on. So yeah, the original point of conspiracy theorists. There are so many out there. I'm convinced that quite a few of them are English literature majors using their creative writing skills, but that's a joke anyway. Um, yeah,
One massive social experiment. I don't know. Some
yeah,
psychologist gone wrong.
all that, all that. I don't know. Yeah. What else is on your mind? Anything interesting you think we could talk about? I don't know.
I mean, I guess one other thing that was quite focused on today was obviously that report that the HMIRS, whatever, Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, the review into the Metropolitan Police's action in the
Oh
vigil.
yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That it was appropriate.
Yeah, how everything was pretty
Above
much
to
to
the
the
board.
books, yeah, and
Yeah.
how they said the politicians and whoever in the media shouldn't have condemned the police without all the facts because it was
Yeah.
it's unfair. So I think that was the other thing. I mean, I don't think any politician is going to say sorry to their condemnation of the police. I mean, Mayor of London
Yeah.
hasn't already, so yeah.
Does the mayor of London have any real power
Oh yeah, he decides the budget for the
for all the
he has
London
an 8
boroughs?
billion. No, no, he I can't remember exactly, but he is in charge of the police. He's yeah,
The UK police.
no, he's in charge of the Metropolitan Police. He decides how much money they get.
So that's the UK
Um,
police, isn't it?
no, just the Metropolitan Police. So we have 42 different police forces in the UK.
Oh yeah, really? What police forces do we have? This
Or
is
42.
this
Hmm?
is new to me. I thought the police was one force.
No. We've got 42 different police forces. So the senior police force is the Metropolitan Police, which is in London. Um,
Okay. No, I just searched it up. We have like regional police, so like Avon
Kind of, yeah.
and Somerset Constabulary and Bedfordshire Police. Am I in the
Yeah.
right?
No,
uh,
exactly. I mean, we have one national police force, which is BTP, British Transport Police,
Okay,
and we have a nuclear police as well. Other than that, it's just
okay,
the normal forces, just regional.
okay. So on Wikipedia, the UK has 45 territorial police
Oh,
forces
45, okay.
and 3 special police forces in the United Kingdom. Not including enforcement, non-police enforcement agencies or bodies of constables, not constituted at blah 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 blah. That's pretty cool. I did not know that the UK had I legit thought it was just one police force, but then again, that's kind of stupid because um, even America doesn't have one police force. They have like uh, county
Departments,
police,
all of
sheriff
that. Yeah,
police, and so on. It's all a weird thing. The Metropolitan Police has the biggest budget. What the fuck?
well, yeah, it
Two
would
point
have to be
five
actually.
billion,
Oh,
and
I think it was more than
the
that. Yeah. Okay.
followed by Scotland. This is as of 2020. I don't know. Um, so there's the most expensive ones are the Metropolitan, the Police of Scotland, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, and then the Manchester Police, West Midlands, West Yorkshire. Wow, wow! This is a very nice surprise. I mean, learning surprise, really. I did not
Yeah.
know about this.
Yeah,
I
no,
did.
because the Met Police also has added responsibilities in regards to royal protection and counter-terrorism. So
Yeah, there's even a
that's what
civil nuclear
that's the word I was talking
constabulary.
about. Yeah.
What is
That,
this?
actually, that I think that's where the guy who killed Sarah Everard was originally from.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
that might be false. I don't know. Someone has to fact check that.
Okay,
I'm afraid. But yeah, no, I'm not too sure. I don't actually know much about that police force.
that's really.
Um, I think it's to do with nuclear power plants. I don't know,
And then we obviously
something like
have
that.
the what do you call it? The special police force, the serious organized crime and police force, the public order and criminal justice in Scotland, and I don't know. Oh no, no, sorry. Sorry. Those are acts. Excuse me, those are acts. The police forces are the BTP, like you said. The Civil Nuclear Constabulary and the Minister of Defense. Oh shit, I was
Yeah.
about to say Defense Against the Dark Arts. Excuse me. Ministry
Start
of
from again.
Defense. That's from Harry Potter.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. That is incredible. And what the hell? The National Crime Agency. Um,
I think that's our version of NS. No, it's not. I don't know.
do we have a counterterrorism police force?
You mean like, wouldn't that be MI5?
No, no. Like Homeland Security, but for the UK.
Oh, well, yeah, right. Yeah, I think you're right. NCA is the equivalent of Homeland, I believe. Then
Yeah.
GCHQ is NSA. Then
Mhm.
MI5 is FBI and CIA is MI6. Something like that.
All these abbreviations. They're so cool, man. I when I was young, I always wanted to either be my first career paths. Like all my top, like if I could name my 5 career paths that I wanted to be the Pope at one point. Um, and then the president of Philippines. You can see they're getting a bit outlandish here. I wanted to be an airline pilot at one point, and then I got kind of serious, and I was like, what do I want to be? So I wanted to be a policeman at one point. But then I found out that the UK police doesn't have guns, so I was like, oh, okay. Um, so then I wanted to be a marine biologist because I love the sea. I love everything about the sea. The sea is literally what archaeologists think their job is, but not really. Like the sea has so much undiscovered stuff underneath. It's amazing. Um, and then I wanted to be a Japanese teacher. And then when all those failed, a nurse. And then when that failed, a geography teacher. Hopefully this doesn't fail because I don't know what the hell is next.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Damn. I tried applying to be a police officer and a detective. I didn't get a response.
Oh,
I don't know.
that will take months.
No,
Um,
don't you remember when at the beginning of lockdown, we were someone told us to apply for a police job, a detective.
mm,
I can't remember exactly which one it was. I did it. I applied and I didn't get a response back for quite some time. I can't remember if I did and I was rejected or if I did not at all. But yeah, there you go. Um,
it take forever, yeah.
they take forever. I'd love to be a police officer though. I don't think I'd be able to because is there something about police officers having to be purely British in the UK, or what?
No. There's police officers who are not British.
Like when I mean British, I mean have a British passport. Like, of course, you can
Yeah, no,
identify him British in a different way, but
I think you can be an EU citizen. Maybe I don't know that has to be fact checked again. Because I know some police officers who are EU citizens and are
mm,
police officers. So
I'd love to be a police officer. Good exercise as well. And arresting people, but I don't think I'd be able to be partial, or what's the word? Equal. I think I'd discriminate against roadmen. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, but I admire police work. I admire, despite the bad, press that police gets, especially in the US or in other countries and the UK.
the US deserves it,
Um,
though. To be honest,
yeah, but not all of them are bad. Come on, like I understand though. I understand. It's the same principle with not all men and so on. But we don't know which police are fine. I understand, but the police force, I assume, is inherently good. I'd like to believe the police are inherently good, and that they're out there looking out for your best interests. Even if sometimes you feel like they're being a nuisance. I've always admired police officers in that way. Um, Although there was this one time I ran into the police and I kind of felt like I was being treated unfairly. But in hindsight, I was being unreasonable. Um, and every time I've met police, it's not like the movies. Like they're portrayed as like these cruel, very very harsh people. No. Some police officers are the most of the police officers that I've interacted with are very nice. Although they never done anything when I told them that I got robbed. But apparently that
yeah,
apparently police can't rarely can do anything about it. They can rarely do
yeah.
anything about people getting robbed. I mean, if they know who robbed you, they can search for that person and probably arrest them. But in regards to getting your things back, I've heard that police can't really get your things back.
No, I never got my stuff back as well when I got robbed. Went nowhere as well. But they did arrest someone. I
There you
don't know what
go.
happened to that guy, but
Oh, there you go. They do
probably let
something.
go.
They do something. I mean, I admire the public service. Way before COVID-19 happened, I always admired what the public service did. I never took for granted what the public service people did. Firefighters, policemen, hospital people, people who don't work in hospitals, and so on. I admired all of them. Even teachers, I admired. To be honest, maybe it's not just admired or respect. Maybe it's just like being kind.
So,
Even in like restaurants, I'm kind to all the servers until they bring my food late. But even then, it's not even the server's fault. It's probably the kitchens. Um, that's something I'm looking forward to. The day that we can actually unite as you reunite in public.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you just reminded me of something we were just talking about public servants and civil service. Watch something about Spain, your home
mhm.
country. Said um, how the workforce in Spain is almost 50% public sector and private sector.
Yeah,
And, and that's obviously problematic because
it's
you
incredibly
get your tax
problematic.
revenue, you get your tax revenues from the private sector. So, and I can't remember. There's a bunch of other problems that compounded with that. But basically, Spain's fucked in the
Yeah,
near
but
future.
there's a big issue with Spain in that Spain is very uncompetitive in the global market. Very very uncompetitive. A lot of Spain's economy comes from very seasonal economy. Very very seasonal economy. Um, and it's not very competitive in, as I said, which I've always found an issue. When you think of Spain, what are the main things that come to your mind of Spain? Madrid, Barcelona, and
Yeah,
sunny tourism. That's it.
exactly. Yeah, tourism.
Obviously, I come from Spain, so I know that there's way more about Spain. But like now, if I said something different about Germany, what would you think about Germany? Strong,
Nightlife.
efficient economy.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they've
as
made a
well.
name.
Cars.
They've made a name for them. Yeah, cars. They've made a name for themselves. This is a problem that I have with my home country of Spain. Um, the fact that they rely so much on seasonal employment. My cousin has a degree in political science. She doesn't use it. She works as a, I don't know what she works at. Without exposing my cousin, I think she works in like waitressing or something like this in Spain. And I did ask her, why don't you use your degree? And she's like, because there are no jobs that use my degree.
Mm,
Um, it's so difficult finding work there. And to be honest, I'm happy. You said, oh, your home country. I do consider it my home country, but more and more and more and more and more, I consider the UK my home country.
okay.
Um, who- if in the future that leads me to getting British citizenship, who knows? But I have to pay for that shit, and I'm married to a British person, and I still have to pay for that shit. I'm good. Unless the UK decides to enter a trade agreement with Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and who was the other one? Canada, to allow the free movement of people between those countries. It's unlikely that I will
Okay.
relinquish my
That'll be
European.
interesting.
Have you heard of that trade agreement?
Kanzuk.
Yeah, Kanzik or whatever it is. Yeah, it's interesting. The doors would open to all those people. Maybe flights would be cheaper to those places. I don't even know. I'm just
I
looking
think all the I think all the leaders of the respective countries have expressed that they are happy to for something like that. I think the only resistance was from Canada, Trudeau. By resistance, I mean sort of slight reservations. They support it, but
yeah,
Trudeau's a
yeah.
bit iffy on some details, sort of thing. But
I mean, if that happened, would you ever consider relocating to one of those countries?
maybe Canada.
Maybe what about Australia?
No, I don't want that hot weather. Thank you.
Oh,
Or scorpions or snakes. No, I'm gonna stick with Canada. I think it's the
you, you
closest.
you like cold weather?
It's not that. I think it's the closest culturally to the UK, maybe as
Oh
well.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, 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 yeah. I suppose so. I mean, as much as I would like to say Japan, I probably wouldn't. I'm so comfortable with life in the UK that I don't think I'll ever move countries or like emigrate elsewhere. Talked to my wife about the possibility of emigrating to the US, and the first thing
Oh,
that comes to mind in the US is healthcare. That's the
oh
first
yeah,
thing that comes to mind. It's always the first thing because healthcare is a massive thing. And I just keep telling her, you'll get paid a lot, and then be like, yeah, but healthcare is still very expensive. And then I say, you'll get paid a lot, and since you work for a hospital setting, you'll most likely get health insurance for you and your life partner. But then a lot of things come into factor, crime, gun crime,
exactly.
driving, all that garbage. The UK, in my eyes, the UK is like really close to what I would consider a utopia. It's just missing several things. It's just
I
missing several
mean,
things, but it's more or less a utopia for me. We have free healthcare. You don't you can walk down the road without the fear of being gunned down. That's a big one in my books. Education is relatively free. What else? I mean, with every place there'll be inequalities everywhere, but the UK has literally perfect life for me, except they lack a few things that I would steal from other countries. Like, for example, I'm not a big fan of the metro or the rail service we have in the UK.
we have one of the best though, in terms of
Uh,
I still I consider Scandinavia the utopia, but in terms of rail and infrastructure, transport, I think we are one of the best. Obviously, Japan has far superior technology, but I think in terms of
we're rated
I don't
highly.
know.
We're rated highly, sure. We're rated highly, but to go as far as to say it's good, nah. Like, I mean, for example, what I would steal, I would steal the work ethic of the Japanese. Like, have you heard that if your transport is late by a minute, the the people will apologize. If you're late
Yeah.
by 5 to 10 minutes, you'll get a lateness note from the train station explaining your lateness because they view that as inefficient and could affect
Mm.
your job. Conversely, the undersides of work culture and so on
Yeah, exactly.
are
It's
there,
not
of
good.
course. But just looking at it from a transport point of view, um, have you been to Madrid?
I think no, I've only been to Barcelona.
Okay, if you ever do go to Madrid, try to use their underground. Their metro underground is amazing. It's very spacious for one, and it's very punctual for another. And I've had experience with the metro since I was 7 years old, and that shit is so punctual and so good. Um, and it's so easy. Like they have the Oyster system, but for the underground, because buses aren't as like preferable. The underground is more preferable, um, and so on.
Okay.
One thing I would change as well. Now this is more of a geopolitical thing, is light pollution. Um, Last night, because I live on the top floor of a building and I have a very nice window that extends nicely outwards and I can see the sky. If I stared long and hard enough, I could see the stars, but you have to do that for a while. Now in the countryside, you can literally see the stars from anywhere. I would I in my perfect world I would like get rid of the light pollution in London. I mean, as I said, there are many things that we could change about London to make it into a perfect utopia. Scandinavian countries have a definite utopian existence, but then again, they don't really cater to many people and of many cultures. It's very easy to be a utopia in a homogeneous country, in my honest opinion, where there's only one culture. But in the UK, there are tons of cultures. Um, I read
Yeah.
somewhere that that London is the most cultural place of the entire world. I'm not entirely sure
I
if
think it
that's
is,
true or
to
not.
be honest. No, I think it is in terms
Yeah,
of
I mean, you can walk down one street and you'll find several different cultures, which is beautiful. And honestly, as I grow older, I come to appreciate more what the UK is. Or maybe I come to appreciate what London is. I did live in the north, and the north was slightly homogeneous. Not very, but slightly. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I love the UK. And I do consider it my home. It's very nice. It's very nice. I don't think I can ever consider Philippines my home. Not by a long run, because
yeah, exactly.
I have never lived there. I've never
It's
settled
not to put
there.
it down. It's just yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not to put it down. I mean, I identify with some of their values, but just
Yeah.
Philippines as a home, no way. If I were on a plane, I would not cry at the sight of Philippines like some of my relatives would do. Um, yeah, but the UK, I think if I was ever forced to leave the UK, I'd be pretty sad because the UK is where I've made majority of my life, and a lot of my life is fantastic in the UK. I'm very grateful to be in the UK, basically. Listeners, wherever you are, hopefully you'll find some sort of like gratefulness in your own country. But me personally, I love the UK. There may be some things that I don't agree with, but I love the UK. Would I die for the United Kingdom? Hell no. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. Oh, also, there is one thing I wanted to ask you.
Go on.
Do you view the United Kingdom as a country?
Well, it is a country,
It
really.
is a country. It is a country. I know it is. To us geographers, it is a country. But there are loads of people that are saying United Kingdom isn't a country. It's just a name, which is really stupid. I don't know where they get these beliefs.
I think it's one of those misconceptions, to be honest with you, because obviously England, Wales, and Scotland are and Northern Ireland are respectively their own equal countries as well. So they think no, I think they say it's a union. The
Hmm.
United Kingdom is a union, which means it's not a country, but obviously it's a country. It's a
Wh-
country made up of countries.
I think if I were ever to explain it in an American terms, right, the United Kingdom is California, Texas, New York, and I don't know. Let's put a Midwestern state there. Arkansas
Hmm.
put together.
Okay.
That's essentially how I would explain it. I mean, England is a country, so is Scotland, and so is Wales and Northern Ireland. But it's a collective. It's a union. The United Kingdom of
Yeah.
Great Britain.
Well, there's plenty of videos on YouTube about the definitions of the terms.
Yeah, there's always a big discourse of it. But yeah, what do you want to end this podcast on? We just rambled about random things.
Exactly.
Um, it's nice to get to have a nice ramble from time to time. Sometimes there are topics that just don't make it on their own.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm looking forward to finding out what the world has in store for us over the next week, so that we can talk about that in the
Well,
next podcast.
I was wrong, by the way. I thought there was going to be an environmental issue 2 weeks ago. I think there was. Yeah.
No, well, you can say that the freight, it was the environmental issue.
Oh yeah,
Ever given?
we
There you
didn't
go.
even touch on the freight.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because it just the freighter finished, didn't it? The issue
Yeah.
with the freighter finished, but I really wonder how that happened. I need to do some research on that. And how the fuck did that happen? Like
Something
you're
about wind.
yeah, okay, fine, I can accept that, but if it wasn't wind, I would have immediately thought the captain was drunk at the helm. Uh, I mean,
Well, maybe as well.
what else explains? I mean, how did they sort that out in the end? They had to dig, didn't they?
Yeah, I think there
Eh,
was one, then there were three, something else.
That's incredible.
I think
That
Reef would I don't know. I think Reef would know a lot more about this. I think.
yeah, I think he would. I think he would. He was focusing on it a lot and making moves on it. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see what the week holds. With the UK now coming out of having looser restrictions, I um I do hope that we can go back to normality soon enough, um, and not go back into lockdown, because that's something that we don't want to happen again. Yeah. Any parting words, Alex?
I mean, it's good to be back after 2 weeks of a
Oh,
break. Was it 2 weeks? Isn't it? Yeah, 2 weeks
I was
of
yeah,
break from
it was two
podcast.
weeks.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think our break was mainly due to like fatigue. For me anyway, I was getting burned out from doing the podcast weekly.
which is fair enough. Yeah,
I can't believe I can't believe I actually wanted to do a 2 week one.
that would have been intense. Yeah.
It would have been very difficult to keep up with. I think 1 week podcast is fantastic. But
Yeah,
I'm recharged now. I want my routine back now, and I want something to look forward to anyway. Um, but I don't blame anyone for not attending. It's fine. It's just an obligation. It's not really an obligation to do. It's just something for fun anyway. Um, but yeah, I mean, to end this podcast, it's nice to be back. Our co-host will be back soon. Give it a bit time. They are enjoying their newfound freedom. Um, yeah, till next time. Thank you very much for listening to our ramblings on. I don't know what the hell did we ramble on? Politics,
so many things.
environmental stuff, police, love of the UK. I don't know. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast. All Podcast X members are grateful that we can do this, and we thank you very much for listening to our opinions and ideas. Again, these are our opinions. Please do not harass us over this. Wherever you are watching this or listening to this, please like and subscribe. Put a comment down on something that you think we should talk about. And yeah, I have been John, your host.
And I have been Alex. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. Take care. All right, I'm gonna put the bot out.